Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I am your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingston, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, Totally Not True, with Rabbi Stuart, the main man, Federow from the Big H, Houston, Texas. Welcome back, Rabbi. How are you today?
God, I'm doing great.
Good. I am watching. Hey, Michael Arlen, you're the first one on. Can you hear me? I clicked something earlier by accident, and it closed off one of my visible panels, and I don't know if we're actually having audio come through. We should. So, hello. Hey, Andrea, yell at me know. Can you hear us out there? I'm looking quick. We got to have a quick answer, somebody. Yes, okay, we're good to go. Good. I toggled off my audio settings, and I can't see it, but they said that we're loud and clear, so very good. Good to be back in the studio. It's been a long day and a half, really, of no broadcasting. Our only two shows this weekend were, actually we had three, so that's good. Had Rabbi Singer's, and then we had Dave on Mays and yours, of course. So Skobac was off, and so was Shulman, and so we are here. We're going to discuss further in detail Isaiah 53:9, specifically what has been mysteriously created as a brand new linguistic that, from what we understand, has never existed before, and Christians and Messianics have found a way to...
As we will see when we talk about it.
Yes.
I just want somebody to show me in the past 100 years, leading up to, but not including the last 20 years, a grammar of biblical Hebrew, a book teaching how grammar works in biblical Hebrew, where it talks about this. But we'll get to it in a minute.
Right. So the point is that the idea for people to go beyond the elementary basics of interpreting Scripture. I shouldn't say it that way. Trying to use mystical reasons why Jesus is the Messiah, and now they're going linguistic wise, trying to prove through
anything
grammar,
they can do, twist and shout. Anything they can twist to make it look like Jesus.
So let's go right. Let's go right there. Let's jump right in, Rabbi Federow, and let's get into that Isaiah 53:9. The what did you call it? The emphatic plural.
Yeah. Well, pull it up. Pull up Isaiah 53:9.
Okay.
And if you can, both in the Hebrew and the English.
Certainly. Go ahead and chat away. Give me a minute to pull this up.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure which translation you're going to go to. Probably Chabad.
Yep.
But you'll see this in the Hebrew, nevertheless. Here, let me, as I can get to it somewhere.
Okay, good.
The word is bemotav. Okay.
Come on, quit being a doofus. There we go.
Isaiah.
This thing's being ornery.
So, Isaiah 53:9. Okay. If you take a look at the Hebrew,
just go
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh word of the verse. Okay? V'yitenet Risha'im kivro ve'et asher bemotav. Okay? Almost everybody I know translates that. They made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. Okay, one way or the other, that's how they do it. And I'd say 3/4 of every Christian translation translates the Hebrew Scriptures that way. They made his grave with the wicked, with the rich in his death. Now, just real quick, okay, his grave wasn't with the wicked, his grave was with the rich. Right. Because it was a rich man who bought the grave, who had the grave. And it says with the rich in his death, he wasn't with the rich when he died. He was with the wicked when he died. So from the first glance, we see that the Christian authors weren't very careful when they were reading, and they reversed what happened to Jesus when they invented the story of the death and burial and whatever of Jesus, they reversed what was in Isaiah 53:9, even though they were using Isaiah 53:9 as basically a pattern, like blueprints do to a construction company.
Okay, sorry it took so long. I finally got it up. It was taking a while. So Isaiah 53:9, here we go.
All right. So
okay.
The point is that the word is clearly bemotav. All right? They gave his grave to the wicked and to the wealthy with his kinds of death. Notice that the Hebrew here, notice that the English here at least has the plural of the word kinds. Okay? It's taking the word bemotav, okay, and it's translated as kinds of death.
Which means more than one type of death.
Which means more than one type of death.
Which would allude to the idea it's definitely talking about more than one person. You can only kill somebody one way. You want to kill them again, you got to resurrect them again.
Well, look, the word kind is mean.
Okay.
And I don't see the word mean in the Hebrew. I'm not happy with this translation. Okay? But if you take a look at the Hebrew, okay, Vayitain et Rishaim Kivro. The word Rishaim is evil ones, those who are evil. Kever is what's it called? Grave. Okay, Kever Rachel, Rachel's grave. Thank you. That makes it easier to see. So clearly the Hebrew is equating...
Sorry, it jumped around on me.
No, it's fine. Clearly the Hebrew... leave it black... Okay. Leave it black and white.
Yep.
So, all right. Clearly the Hebrew is making a relationship between Kivro and Rishaim. Because in the clause, the phrase of the Hebrew, Vayitain et Rishaim Kivro. Okay, that's the phrase. But at Asher b'motav, so it's making a relationship between the rich and death. Pretend it says death. Okay, so the point is that in the narrative of Jesus and his death, they reverse this. The kever, the grave, is related to the Asher, the rich, and the death was with the evil ones. So they really messed that up. But our conversation tonight really isn't about that. Our conversation tonight is about bemotav. The root is mot. The root is mavet, which means death. Be means in or with. Okay, that's dependent upon the English word and which, thank you, and which word gets translated, which preposition goes with the English verb. Okay, and the ending, the vav on the end is his. Now, see the yud in the 1, 2, 3, the fourth letter. Okay, would you mind removing the blue, the bold? No, what do you? Yeah, just get rid of that because thank you. It's just easier to read without blue. Okay, you can see where the yud is, the fourth letter. In Hebrew grammar, that indicates plural. Okay, motim. Okay, take a look at Rishaim. It has the yud and then the mem at the end. Okay, this third word, if you want to number it that way. Okay, the im on the end indicates plural. Come on, almost everybody knows that. So you drop the mem sofit, the mem at the end. The yud stays there to indicate the plural, and you put the vav on the end to indicate third person singular possessive. His. clearly it means deaths, plural.
Right.
Deaths, deaths.
Right.
Okay. I laugh at this because it's just so funny to me. But what Christians are saying now in response to the critique that the biblical text of Isaiah says deaths, but Jesus only died once on the cross and then he was bodily taken up to heaven, means if he only died once, he didn't fulfill the scripture. I mean, he didn't fulfill it immediately anyway, because, it says rich man in his death and he was with the rich man in his grave. It says with the evil in his, you know what I mean. We just talked about it.
Sure.
Okay.
And we haven't even
I'm sorry?
And we haven't even gotten into the second part of verse 9.
No, don't even have to get there, because what we're really talking about is this ridiculous concept that Christianity came up with to justify the fact that it says death, and they say, well, it's the emphatic plural. By making it plural, it's emphasizing it. Okay, why in the grammar, start over, why in the way the verse is stated does it have to be emphasized in the first place? What is it emphasizing? Okay, is it in his death? I mean, what is there to emphasize in that? There's nothing there that needs to be emphasized. So the whole concept coming to be emphatic makes no sense to begin with. And you will see in Christian responses to the critique that Jesus didn't have deaths, he only had one death, and that was on the cross. And in order to fulfill this, he has to come back and die at least one more time. They'll say, oh, it's the emphatic plural, that it's plural, and that makes it emphatic. It makes it an emphasis. Somebody, please, leading to, up until, but not including 20, 30 years ago, show me a book that is teaching like a textbook, biblical Hebrew grammar that talks about an emphatic plural. Mm-hmm. I just looked up before we got on the air. I just looked up Britannica.com, the Encyclopedia Britannica, or maybe it says encyclopedia.com, but it's an entire article on nothing but Hebrew grammar. And I looked through the whole thing. Nowhere does it say anything about a grammatical concept called an emphatic plural. It's made up only recently as a response to this idea that Jesus didn't fulfill Isaiah 53:9 because he only died one death. Somebody show it to me. I'd love to see it.
Right.
All right.
Yep. And so, as we mentioned before, too, we do have some new viewers here. So,
hello, new viewers.
Yeah. So we have to
point
out
wherever you are. No, go ahead.
Definitely should point out Zephaniah 3:13, which would go with the second half of Isaiah 53:9. Also.
We didn't even talk about the second half.
Right. Let's go there. We're already on 53:9 anyway.
All right. Well, yeah, just bring it up.
Okay. Oh, let me go back and. You gonna leave it large on the Hebrew?
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay, there you go. All right.
So,
see. I'll make it like get rid of all the.
Lo Hamas asa. No destruction did he do. Below mirmah of piv, and there was no deceit in his mouth. He didn't do destruction. Really? And by the way, it says lo Hamas. It doesn't say only the good kind of destruction, only destruction for the right reasons. It says he had done no destruction. Lo Hamas. Okay. Well, Jesus was an incredibly violent man. Come on, everybody knows the stories. He makes his own scourge, his own whip, so he can beat people up in the temple. He sees a fig tree from far, and he goes up to it because it's hungry, but it's not the season for figs. And he says something against the fig tree which kills it. Instead of being like God, where we praise God for being the creator of the fruit of the tree, instead of being the creator of the fruit of the tree, in his anger, he destroys the tree and kills it by saying, may nobody ever eat from you again. Okay, not exactly what I would call a generous spirit.
Right.
You know, let's see. He tells his disciples, hey, you've always had everything you needed. Did you have a need for script? No, you had it. Did you need for food? No, you had it. Well, now I tell you, take what you have and go buy a sword. Later, he says, you know, if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. But that sounds like a later addition, a later gloss. It's like he's telling his people, go get a sword. He gets rid of the demons by taking pigs that he doesn't even own, putting the demons in the pigs, and then killing the pigs.
They belong to someone else on top of that.
Yeah, they weren't his pigs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, repeatedly throughout the gospel stories, the narrative of Jesus' life, he's a very violent man.
You know, there's actually a writing in the I forget what it's called that actually mentions a youth of Jesus. I actually think it had to do with the Gospel of Thomas, which Christians would reject anyway. But in whatever extra biblical text it was, it actually showed that this Jesus character they were talking about was very like the same way as a child, very like aggressive and very like
aggressive.
Yeah, not
yeah,
cool
that's
at all.
Putting it mildly.
You know what I mean? So
right. So, at any rate, go back to the verse. Okay, it says that he is lo Hamas asa. He didn't do any violence. Well, he did no violence. Okay, well, he certainly did some violence, and when it says no violence, it means no violence. And the idea to the verse, okay, is that the reason why he became, the reason why he died is in spite of the fact that he did no violence. But when Jesus does the violence in the temple, and if you look at Deuteronomy 14, God commands the money changers to be there. God commands the sellers of sacrifices to be there. It's because he made such a hubbub in the temple that drew attention to him that made Rome want to kill him. Okay, and it says Velomir ma b'piv. Okay, and there is no deceit in his mouth. Okay, now people will say, oh, but look, there's a yud with P, and therefore he's only got one mouth. But it says it's the yud there, so it's plural, just like asa, just like b'motav. No, the word for mouth is peh, and when you put the possessive on it, it changes it to a yud, a P. It's a grammatical thing. So if there's no deceit in his mouth, what about the hypocrisy of Jesus? Where he says, make sure you don't call anybody fool, and then Jesus himself calls other people fool. Or Jesus says, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other cheek. And yet Jesus gets struck by the soldier when he's talking with Pontius Pilate or what's his name? He gets slapped, and instead Jesus says, if I did something wrong, tell me what I did wrong. But if I didn't do anything wrong, why did you hit me?
Right.
So he doesn't even follow his own advice. That's called hypocrisy, and that's deceitful.
I would be amiss if I didn't mention this, even though there's no grounds for it. Messianics teach that the reason why Jesus said that was because you want to make sure before you act that what them hitting you was definitely on purpose, not by accident. Because if they hit you a second time, they did it on purpose. And again, there's no textual grounds for that at all. It's just something they've come up with for damage control.
They come up with something, but Jesus says, if somebody strikes you on the right, turn to him the left. It doesn't say, if somebody strikes you on the right, make sure it was okay.
Right.
Make sure it was the right thing, and then turn the other cheek.
Right.
So
had to mention it out there though, because otherwise we would get flaw flag messianics out there.
It's a weak argument to begin with.
Sure. Most of their stuff is.
If Jesus says, if somebody strikes you in the right cheek, turn to in the left.
Yeah.
Hey, if you get struck on the right cheek, then you have to get down on your hands and knees and do 50 push-ups and then stand up. Oh, well, that's not there either, but that's what Jesus meant.
Right.
I mean, you can make up anything. So.
Yep. True.
At any rate, so the idea that Jesus had no deceit in his mouth, the idea that he had done no violence, simply doesn't match with the narrative of Jesus. And what were you going to quote from Zephaniah?
Oh, Zephaniah 3:13 to go with the part we just read where he had done no violence and there was no deceit found in his mouth.
Right.
Zephaniah 3:13 says that literally verbatim, almost word for word, and it specifically clarifies that it's talking about the remnant of the Jewish people.
Right.
So,
are you going to bring that up?
I probably should. We should be trading seats right now. You seem to be more on spot tonight than I am.
Yeah, why should this week be different than the other week?
Oh, touche, pussycat.
Just kidding.
That was a good one, though. You know you like that. That was awesome. Okay, it's a fun. Yeah.
I'm so funny.
So first of all, okay, let me before we go there, let me go ahead and pull this visible out. I got it. 1 second. I got to make it where it's visible first. I guess I could do a side by side. Now I'll just do it this way. Okay, going back on verse 9, just so the people out there looking at here, it says, because he committed no violence and there was no deceit found in his mouth. That's what we're referring to. And the church is saying that specific. Oh, sorry. I didn't have it. I had it on the wrong slide. There we go. And they're saying that this is talking about Jesus for sure. There's no way this could be talking about. They say there's no way this could be talking about the Jewish people because the Jewish people have done violence. We'll stop there. That's the claim. Problem is the actual text itself, the actual scripture that it's referring to in Zephaniah 3:13. Let me get that pulled up again. It's Zephaniah 3:13. Let me pull that right here. And it literally says, the remnant of Israel shall do no iniquity. Right there it is. Nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. The remnant of Israel says it plain as day.
Yeah.
Right there. So,
all right, so Man Bear Pig, where in Luke does it say to sell your cloaks and buy swords? I always forget. It's Luke chapter 22, verse 36. Then said he unto them, but now he that has a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that has no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one.
Oh, that was good. Davon's watching with us tonight. 8 Clouds of Torah, 7:26 p.m. He also taught. It says he also taught nothing in secret, but he did tell his disciples, don't tell anyone he was the Messiah. Sounds like a secret.
Yep, exactly.
That's a good one, Devon.
That's the deceit.
Yep.
Right.
Very good. Very good. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the phone lines for you guys who would like to call in. 855-952-4253. Let me put that back on your screen. You can also contact Rabbi Federow with the information on the screen as well. And give me just a second, and we will open the lines. You guys can call in and say hi or call in with your questions. It does not have to be about this verse. It can be about any question that you have.
Golem 1, Luke 19:27. Those who will not have me reign over them, bring them in front of me and kill them. Although he had done no violence.
There it is. Put the wrong one up. Didn't have the right phone number up there. Cool. Phone lines are open, guys. Give us a shout or a shout out, whatever you like. Good to see everybody out tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Andrea. She's been around on faithful wrench carrier out there keeping things in line. We got about a half a dozen of them. Rabbi Federow is stalking us tonight. Oh, hey, there you are. All right. So here we go. Lines are not ringing. I'll see what happens. So let's
wait a minute. Wait, I'm not. Attention, read King James Bible, Psalm 146, 3-4. This psalm will give us a clear picture of Jesus.
All right, we've got a caller.
Psalm 146, 3-4.
Caller, sit tight. Don't hang up. Okay, we'll be right with you.
Psalm 146, 3-4. Wait. Did he? Can't even remember from 146, 3-4. 146, 3-4. 146, 3-4. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goes forth, he returns to his earth, and that very day his thoughts perish. I would agree. Okay, just thought I'd look. Okay.
All right, very good. All right, caller, you are live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Caller, welcome to the show. Oh, they hung up. Guys, when you call in, don't hang up. That's a big no-no. Yeah, okay, well, pardon me. I mean, cough in your ear. Sort of worked out that way, though, didn't it? Yeah. Son of a silver stacker. Rabbi Federow, can you please explain Judea attacks
Jerusalem and then the hot stove? Where are you referring to?
Cool.
I don't see him anywhere else. I don't see him give me. I need to be able to go to the verse, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to know what it's talking about either. I don't pretend to know everything.
Right. Very good.
Why would Judea attack Jerusalem if Jerusalem is the capital city of Judea? I don't know.
Right.
Unless it's talking about a different reign.
Right.
Jerusalem at one point was under, can't remember the history well enough to explain it. Hi, Mark Lieberman.
Okay. Very good. Put that down there. Okay, cool. So, any other questions in chat? You see anything?
No, but I'm looking for. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do something else. I've got a question that came up today in a conversation on a phone call with a good friend, Max. Oh, I forgot I had the wrong screen up here. Oh, actually, let's take this caller first. Remind me the conversation about Max.
Okay.
Caller, you live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hey, Will, it's Lou Kahn. How you doing?
Hey, Lou, man.
Hey,
how you doing, brother?
You?
God, it's been a long time.
It has been.
Yeah.
You should be on a show.
My techie in my pocket right there. Yes, sir.
That's it.
How are you?
That's it. I'm doing fantastic.
Welcome.
I have a question that's not really necessarily related to this.
You should have your own show.
Right?
You should be doing this, not me.
I should have my own show. Yeah,
you're asking me a question? Who are you kidding? Okay, go ahead.
Why doesn't anybody ask a question about John the Baptist and the idea that, well, where did he come up with this concept of having to be baptized? Obviously, as Jews, we go to the mikveh. I mean, some Jews go to the mikveh every day, and we get purified, and before we pray. But why don't people ask about this question? Where did this whole idea come from that being baptized is going to be you're going to be forgiven for your sins?
Right,
and
like you're washing away this tainted sin.
And why does John the Baptist have to baptize Jesus? I mean, why does God need to be baptized?
So how would you answer that? I mean, I know my answer. How would you answer that? Lou?
He's still on.
How would I answer that?
Yeah. Because I can tell you my answer. Okay. If you read between the lines. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the Kohanim had to go into the mikveh before they did their service in the temple. So I guess if supposedly Jesus was going to be doing some kind of service or offering himself up, he would have to go be purified, I guess.
and
if he's,
I think
but
that,
if he's pure,
but
if he needs to be purified, if he's perfect, that doesn't make any sense.
That's a really good point. And also, I beg to say that they did miss the very most important thing of the anointing. Where was he anointed? You know,
right.
So,
that's by a
that's
prophet or a Kohen. It's not that he's just anointed. He has to be anointed explicitly by the high priest or by a prophet. Never happened, because they'll say, "Oh, well, Mary Magdalene poured oil on his feet or something, or on his hair or whatever," and that's not the same thing.
Let's go and disconnect. We'll talk about it a little bit more. I've got a couple
wait.
Oh wait, okay.
No, just keep him on.
Oh well, we got a bunch of callers calling in all of a sudden.
All right, Lou. Let me. Okay. Lou, it was good talking with you.
Lou, definitely. We need to get together in person soon. It'll be a first time. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Lou. We'll talk to you soon. Shalom.
My answer, real quick, is this.
Yes, sir.
In the ancient world, if you read the New Testament between the lines, when it talks about Mary, the mother of Jesus, Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, their relationship with each other, if you read between the lines regarding the whole John the Baptist narrative, what is really going on, in my personal opinion, is that John the Baptist was a competitor of Jesus for a following in the ancient world. John the Baptist was a competitor of Jesus. So the people who win the battle are the ones who write the history. So when Christians were going to write the history, they wanted to make start over. When Christians wrote the history, they wanted to make John the Baptist subservient to Jesus. So in order to make John the Baptist subservient, okay, they probably only then started calling him John the Baptist. And then you have the scene where, Jesus is clearly the superior one. Okay, why are you baptizing me? You should be baptizing me, not me baptizing you. And Jesus says, well, let it be this way as a model, or something like that.
Right.
That renders John the Baptist subservient. Okay. When Jesus is Mary is pregnant with Jesus, Elizabeth is pregnant with John the Baptist. Mary goes to Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, and it says that the baby in Elizabeth kicked. In the womb, recognized the presence of the superior Jesus.
Jump for joy, basically.
Yeah, jump for joy.
Or whatever.
But that is another subtle story to make John the Baptist subservient to Jesus. Okay, so by having John baptize Jesus instead of Jesus baptizing John, it makes John subservient to Jesus. And I think that's the whole reason why there's this story and why you get this perversion of the Jewish ritual of baptism and bring in this whole pagan stuff about, washing your sin away and whatever.
Right.
That's my opinion. So.
All right, we'll go ahead and take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Wesley Curry, the man of the earth, Huntington, West Virginia. Blend, do not mix.
Wesley, gotcha. Okay, cool, man. Well, go ahead with your question.
Well, I'd like to hear a little bit more specifics about what you're discussing in Isaiah. Are you discussing the verse, I shall give the place upon his shoulders the key to the house of David, what he shall open, none shall shut, what he shall shut, none shall open?
We were discussing Isaiah 53:9 specifically.
What can you quote 53:9 for me, please?
53:9. Well, let's see the second half. I've got the second half in my brain right now. For you done no
Wait a
violence.
minute, I got it real quick.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
53.
Where he was buried with the. Excuse me. Oh no, don't open that.
He made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
There you go.
Yeah, that was Jesus. He chose 144,000 Jewish children who don't have any guile in their mouths.
Well, if you
wait.
So
where's that story?
hold on, before we go any further, real fast, Wesley. If you just tuned in, let's hang up. You need to go back and watch the show because we just proved beyond a shadow of a doubt there's no way that could have possibly been Jesus. So carrying on. He just hung. I know he's still on us there, but yeah, we're not going to continue this one on because actually I do recognize this guy, and he definitely likes to use this platform to teach instead of to ask questions. So thank you very much for your call. Go back and watch the show because I'm telling you, watch all the way up to this point because we totally ruled out the fact that there's any possibility of that being Jesus at all. Hang on one second. Chris, you need something? I didn't even know you were gone.
Welcome back. We missed you. Thank you for coming back.
Federow said, welcome back. My wife and daughter came in and said, hey, I just want to let you know we're back. I was like, I didn't know you left. I'm so bad. Oh, gosh.
All work and no play.
Yes.
And when you're so involved with your work that you're neglecting your family.
Hey, today was not that case. I actually took them out, and we went to Putters and Gutters and played we went bowling and we did roller skating, and boy, that was a blast in the past. Okay, so at 7:31 p.m.
Wait.
I'll just read it to you. Well, you might want to look at it anyway because there's two references we're going to discuss. Davon wanted to know if we could contrast Matthew 10:22 and Colossians 1:23.
7:31.
7:31. Clouds of Torah. Look for
okay. Can you contrast Matthew 10:22 and Colossians 1:23? He never returned, although the Gospels went around the world. Okay, not sure what that means, but okay, let me look at it. Okay, I forgot. I forgot what he just said. What were the two verses?
Matthew 10, verse 22 and 23.
10, verse which?
22 and 23.
22 and 23.
Yep, and then Colossians.
Wait. Okay.
Okay, Colossians.
And then
1:23.
Colossians what?
Colossians 1:23.
1:23.
Yes.
Okay. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endures to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in this city, flee to another. For verily I say unto you, you shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man has come. And then Colossians, if you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which you have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, whereof I, Paul, am made a minister. Right. So in Matthew, he says that when you go through all the cities of Israel, the Son of Man will come, or in this case, come back. But in Colossians, it says that's exactly what they did, and he didn't come back. Mm-hmm. If I understand his point, that's what it's saying.
Right.
If you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which you have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven. Okay, but here it says, you shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man has come. So Colossians said everybody got preached to, but Matthew says before everybody gets preached to, Son of Man will come back. Well, one of many where Jesus makes a statement that doesn't wind up being true. So I hope that answers Clouds of Torah comment.
Okay. All right, I'm scrolling for some other comments and questions here. Let me know if you see something. I need to put this over here. I'm having to rubberneck too much. That's a little bit better right there.
Samuel 22.
All right, guys. You know the phone lines are open. 8-5. Now, see, why does it keep doing that?
Samuel.
Oh, you turkey.
22.
All my screens disappear whenever I move something over into one particular area of the screen. So that's why Rabbi Federow disappeared too. 1 second. There we go. All right, now he's back. Pardon me. Okay, now where'd my YouTube channel go?
Yeah.
There it is.
Here's an interesting thing we have here.
Okay, there we go. That's better.
Okay. If you take a look at 7:32 p.m. Okay. Taz Chris says, live up to 2 Samuel 22 or Psalm 18. That is the heart of the Messiah. He meant look up, I assume. Look up, or look up to 2 Samuel 22 or Psalm 18. I haven't seen Psalm 18 yet. But 2 Samuel 22 is interesting because it talks about the Lord does this, the Lord does that, the Lord does this, the Lord does that. And, of course, Christianity is going to say that the Lord means Jesus because Jesus is Lord. So anytime the word Lord is used, it means Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, like where it says, let's see. Let's see. And all I can say is to the Christian, for 22:32, for who is God except the Lord? So if the Lord is Jesus, then they're saying God is the Lord. God is Jesus. Jesus is God.
All right. Davon joined us on a call. Davon, if you want to clarify or add to your statement there, and just for you guys know, this is Davon Mays. We have a show.
Hi, Davon.
We have a show called Debunking the Christian Playbook that we do every week. And so welcome. Good to have you on the show, on this show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
And basically what you had said, Rabbi, makes perfect sense because I just wanted to put the question in the chat because if we're talking about there's no deceit in his mouth, even if we play devil's advocate, let's try to make this work. If you say you're going to come back and you give a time frame, Paul basically says the gospel went everywhere. Here's the bigger problem. Paul said that he got everything from Jesus in Galatians 1:12. He said nothing was taught to him. So if Paul got his so-called gospel from Jesus, didn't he just basically throw Jesus under the bus by claiming that he gave him this gospel, and then he turns around and basically makes him look like a liar, which, well, of course, he didn't even need to do that because he never returned anyway. But how can any Christian justify that this is not a false prophecy, even if you threw everything you could at it to try to, reconcile this?
Yep. There is no man here that will taste
death.
Can't remember what it said, but it's the same basic idea. Jesus
said, many of you standing with me today will not taste death until you see the kingdom of heaven coming in its fullness of its glory.
Right. Never happened.
Right.
They're all dead. Right. Oops. Sorry.
Yep. Right.
It's the same basic idea. Yep.
Awesome. Devon, awesome, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah. All right. Shalom.
Okay. Shalom. Take care. Bye-bye. Cool. There you go.
All right, so my point with 2 Samuel 22, I haven't even looked at Psalm 18, is that it's not talking about the Messiah there. It's talking about God. And Christians are going to see every time it says Lord, they're going to think Jesus, so they're going to think Jesus is the Messiah. Therefore, it must be talking about the Messiah.
Okay.
Which means it's called eisegesis. It's called taking your thoughts and putting it into the text as opposed to drawing out of the text what the text means.
Oh, come on. This thing doesn't... Oh, there it goes. It does work.
Critical Current asks, what's the purpose of a mikvah? Okay, a mikvah doesn't cleanse from sin. A mikvah, you don't go into the waters of the mikvah and the waters of the mikvah wash the sin off your soul. That's not Judaism. That's not a mikvah. The purpose of a mikvah is what I call a line of demarcation. It marks before and after. A person who converts to Judaism, the last thing they do is to go to the mikvah. And the mikvah says, before you did the mikvah, you're not a Jew, but after you've done the mikvah, you are a Jew. But the mikvah itself, yeah, I guess in some ways you could say it does something. But the truth be told, what it does is it marks the end of one and the beginning of another, a line of demarcation. Before no, but after yes. If you there are certain circumstances you're going to do something with dishes in the mikvah. You're going to put the dishes in the waters of the mikvah. Well, the dishes are already clean. You're not using the mikvah to wash the food off of the dishes. The dishes are already clean. When you put them in the mikvah, before you put them in, they can't be used. After you take them out, they can be used. It's a completely different approach to the purpose and function of ritual immersion between Judaism and Christianity. Christianity has this idea of some form of cleansing, whether it's spiritual cleansing or physical cleansing or whatever. And I just think that's absent when it comes to Judaism's view of the mikvah. Yeah. Yeah, but Michael, that's the point. When John the Baptist tells Jesus to baptize him, Jesus says, oh no, let it be this way. Making it that John the Baptist is obeying Jesus as opposed to Jesus obeying John the Baptist, making John the Baptist subservient to Jesus. So, let's see. See, Unitarian Christian outreach, you don't know what Jews believe about John the Baptist because Jews don't believe anything about John the Baptist. He's irrelevant to us. We don't care what he said or did, except insofar as he's taking a Jewish ritual, how typical of Christians, giving it, investing it with meaning that doesn't belong there and contradicts the Judaism it came from, and then claiming, well, this is what Jews should do. And that's what they do with most of our rituals. They invest it with meaning where it doesn't belong, and the meaning they invest in it is contradictory to what Judaism and the Bible actually says.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, Golem 1, women's having their menstrual cycle, the mikvah didn't clean them from their menstrual cycle. The mikvah marked the end of it. They had stopped flowing, stopped bleeding days beforehand. So now it's saying, okay, before the mikvah, you're not really done, but now that you've finished the mikvah, you are done. It's a line of demarcation. It's creating a before and after.
Okay.
Wait.
What's quiet tonight?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Raymond Reef has a question. He said it's at 7:45 p.m. relating to pagan holidays, describing the pagan Easter events to follow. Wait a minute, hold on. That's not really worded as a question. Maybe describe the pagan Easter events to following a cult-type religion.
Okay, well, I'm not quite sure your definition of the word cult. Cult basically means religion.
Religious group, yeah.
Okay, specific religious group. Okay, usually centered around one act or one ritual or one belief. So, the temple cult is a legitimate use of the term cult because it means exactly that. Group of people, coming together around one act, namely what goes on at the temple. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, the pagan Easter events to follow a cult religion.
Huh.
Okay. Cult has about 100 million different meanings in the modern world. For example, if they don't like a religion, they call it a cult. Well, it's not a cult, it's called a heresy. Okay, it disagrees with the main beliefs of a religion, so it's heretic to that religion. but they'll say, "Oh, it's a cult." I remember when I was on the college campus, when I was the Hillel director, a rabbi for college kids, and there was the Baptist Student Union was doing a thing on cults. And so I'm thinking cult like the Moonies, Divine Light Mission, okay, Children of God. I mean, these are 1960s, 70s, 80s cults. That's what they were. So I go to the class to see what they're going to say about these, and that's not who they're talking about. The Baptists were talking about the Catholics. They were talking about the Mormon Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. They're talking about the Jews. And in other words, any religious community with whom they disagreed theologically became a cult.
Okay.
So, yeah, not the right definition of the word. So,
by the way,
Raymond, if you can tell me better what you mean by a cult.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
By the way, Unitarian Christian was asking more, was John the Baptist accepted by Jews of his time? Not whether the Jews of today accept him.
Oh, okay. Well, if you believe the New Testament, he certainly had a following. He was baptizing somebody. People came to him to be baptized for his understanding of what baptism meant by some people. So he obviously had a family.
There we go. Battery's going crazy here. There we go. That's better. All right, that's better. Cool. Every time I try to type something, it wouldn't show up. And then about 10 seconds later, half of it would show up. I think my batteries were dying. That wasn't aggravating at all. Okay. There we go. June Ray says, her understanding is the definition of a cult is a belief that opposes my own belief. That kind of makes sense.
That's a heresy.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So.
That means heresy, not cult.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Okay. So I think June Ray is actually tuning in, watching the earlier part of the show. She's not actually caught up with us right now.
All right.
So, all right, cool. So what else we got here? We got about 5 minutes left here. So let's see if we can.
Okay.
Stretch this baby out a little bit. Hey, pardon me, I didn't mean to do that in front of y'all. Hey, so let's go here real fast. We'll close out the show with this topic.
Right, but Lou
or not.
Lou says the mikvah removes tumah. Okay, define tumah. Most people will say it's impure. Okay, so you might say impurities. Okay, what exactly is purity or impure? Is it something coming off? So what you're saying, Lou, is that John the Baptist was really doing a Jewish thing, removing this invisible thing called tumah.
Spiritual impurity.
Spiritual impurity.
And that makes sense,
though.
Bath.
It's not. There's no
Right.
soap and hot water.
Right. Yeah, Lou knows that too. So
Okay.
here's a
Right.
comparison for you, Rabbi. Here's
Yeah.
a comparison for you. So also in the Torah says if a person becomes unclean, they shall take a bath or they shall wash themselves, and then they will remain unclean until morning. So if the
Right.
bath is what actually cleaned them physically or even spiritually, the spiritual transition happens after the rinsing and after sunset.
Wait. Why are they taking the mikveh and they're still unclean? I hate that translation.
Yeah.
Even after they get out of the water.
Hey, I didn't write the Torah, dude. I'm
No,
just telling you
you're
what it
making a
says.
statement. You are making the statement. It removes tumah.
I didn't make any
But
statement
he
at all. I just said.
you just said it. You just quoted it.
Okay, so Lou said it removes tumah,
Yes.
and I just simply quoted a verse in Tanakh in the Torah that says that you will remain unclean until the evening.
Right, and Tumah is unclean.
Right.
So he's remaining unclean even after the mikvah.
So that's your point. Is that the mikvah itself doesn't do it? It's one of the stages of it. But it does. It's just I think I don't know how to explain all that. I don't even know I just know it's there, and I know it makes sense, but I don't know how to explain it. I don't know.
To me, the translation of Tumah isn't impure, okay, or what's the other one?
We got Lou on the line. He's going to explain. He's going to clarify his statement.
Thank you, Lou. That's why I said don't get off the phone. Didn't I just say that?
Now you get the...
You guys are twisting things around here. So, So
okay.
All right. So the question is, okay, what does the mikvah do? Right. It removes the spiritual impurity. So right. So when a woman has her monthly cycle and she's done, you're right. She's not permitted to her husband until she goes to the mikvah. So
right.
But there was a potential living being inside her that is no longer a living being. So therefore, she has this death essentially. She's spiritually impure. It's not that she's dirty, but she has to go to mikvah.
Is she still bleeding at the time of the mikvah?
No.
Exactly.
No,
the mikvah isn't cleansing.
We have to wait. Yeah, we have to wait a certain amount of time to make sure that she's not bleeding.
That's my point. So it's a way of saying, yes, you are finally done with this period.
You are finally done.
Yes.
Right.
It is a line of demarcation. Right. Before you have the mikvah, you're not permitted to your husband.
So
but
when a Jew wakes up,
you are.
When a Jew wakes up in the morning, he has to wash his hands, and he technically should wash his feet. Right?
Yeah.
Why do we wash our hands and we'll wash our feet?
Why?
Because there's tumah on our fingernails, our hands and our feet.
Because when we're sleeping, we're in like a state of death, basically.
I kind of think that's a later explanation, because what we're talking about there sounds to me more physical than spiritual, and it's not a mikveh, it's a faucet.
But I don't see that as being physical, because you're not washing any dirt off your hands. You're just going through the motions.
Oh, I disagree. I think you actually are.
Okay.
And by the way, what I was going to say before is that I honestly believe a better translation of tumah or tameh is, believe it or not, yucky, gross. There's a disgusting nature of it. Like, oh, gross, I don't want to be involved with that. Okay, and if you stop and think of the things which the word tameh refers to, unclean, it's not muddy. Okay, or what's the other translation they use?
Well, I think spiritually unclean is more, to me, still makes the most sense, I think. I don't know. That's just me.
Right. But it just seems to me that this sense of spiritual uncleanness is a sense of gross or disgusting or yucky.
But if that was just true, then how do you go back to, which is one of the verses that I was quoting from, was it says you shall wash your body or bathe your body, and you're still unclean until even. Once you got to go through the process. So if the water really cleansed anything physical off of you, then you would be clean right away.
Right.
So, but it didn't. So it's a spiritual thing, right?
Right. But to me, it's still the line of demarcation. You still have to have the mikvah, and you still have to wait, but you still had to have the mikvah. So it's like waiting just a little bit longer, just a little bit more, to make sure everything's okay, to make sure it's kosher.
All right.
Whatever it's in reference to.
Okay. Well, I guess we can move on with this one. Lou, thank you, brother. Miss you, dude.
All right.
Hey, when are you coming to Texas to visit me, man?
That's a good question.
That is a really good question.
I need to get out there.
You should, man. All right, dude. We'll talk to you soon, man. We'll keep in touch. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You bet. Bye. All right. So, We had a couple other callers calling in. It's actually over at our hour mate now. And my daughter brought me dinner, and it's getting cold on me. So I'm probably going to take this opportunity to bail out and eat dinner. So, Rabbi, it's fun. Had a great night tonight as usual. Oh, man, I got one more caller. Let's take it. Pardon me. Sorry. It's easier to cover this up than it is to turn the mic down. All right. Let's go with one more question. Caller, you live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Linda from Michigan.
Linda from Michigan.
Hi, Linda.
Welcome.
Hello. This is my first time talking.
Nice.
I have a JPS Tanakh Bible.
Okay.
And the thing is, I'm a little confused on Isaiah 53:9. It says the same thing that you all were saying, that was a mistranslation. What they have is, and his grave was set among the wicked, and with the rich in his death. So is that a translation?
No,
of
that's accurate.
JPS.
That's actually accurate, but all that does is prove that it can't be Jesus, because the opposite.
No,
happened
wait,
to
you
Jesus.
didn't hear her.
Oh, you're probably right. Go ahead.
No, she's asking that the JPS also uses the singular.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh,
the JPS is also
okay.
wrong.
Gotcha.
I mean, you got the Hebrew right there. The
Right,
Hebrew has
right.
the Yud. The Yud makes it plural.
Yeah, that's true. In addition to that, the point, even if all that was right, still the stories are opposite of what happened to Jesus anyway. So it wouldn't work out for a Christian no matter how they slice it, because just the opposite happened to Jesus. It wasn't. You know what I mean? So
don't make the assumption. Can't even talk. Don't make the assumption that just because something is Jewish, that makes it accurate and true. And there are plenty of things out now that Christians are creating, inventing, writing, whatever, and they're calling it Jewish when it never was. It was never done by anybody who was Jewish. But the Jewish Publication Society, even the original one in 1917 or something, I forgot exactly when it was, really wasn't a great translation. It's like they took it's like they took the King James, and only in certain parts did they correct the mistakes Christians made and then got it published. But the new JPS, unfortunately, the new JPS translation, it's got a 1980-something, 85, I think, copyright date, is the translation my congregation uses during our services. And it's terrible. Every week I go to point something out to them. It's in the translation. It's in the Hebrew. But when I go to open up our book using using the new JPS translation, it's not there.
Oh wow!
It is the new Jewish Publication Society translation of like 1985, 89, something like that, and it's horrible. It's a terrible translation.
Gotcha.
What would you recommend as a good translation? I do have the Stone edition, but that's only the Torah and a couple of the things authorized from the rabbinic writings.
Right.
But I see that's only the Torah, not the Tanakh.
Right, but I wouldn't even use it ever. There are different layers of interpretation. There is the text itself, there's commentaries on the text. And there are passages in the Stone translation which will incorporate into the translation what the commentary says about the verse.
Okay.
In other words, it's not distinguishing between Jewish tradition on interpreting the text for the past 2,000 years and what the text says literally. Okay? And I can't think of an example offhand, nor do I own a Stone translation for this reason. But it's not my favorite translation either by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I would rather have a literal translation of the text, a very careful, literal translation, and then have the commentary afterwards so you know what the Hebrew's actually saying, than to start out with a translation where it's mixing up the commentary with the translation itself. And Golem, best to get an Orthodox translation. The stone is as Orthodox as you can get. But go take a look at the translation and then try to match every single word in the translation with the Hebrew words in the original verses and show me the one-for-one match.
The problem is that with all of the translations is that the people who are writing them are not writing them to correct the mistakes of Christianity. They're just writing just a translation, not being ultra careful, and then when a Christian sees something that they put that wasn't really carefully thought out, they jump on that and they use it and attack and say, "See, this right here, even the Jewish says this." But then when the authors come back and find it, they're like, "Oh no, that's not what I meant at all. What are you, crazy? No, that's not what we meant." So it's not being ultra careful in the translations. Like I said, they don't write these to counter Christianity. They just write them to give you a translation to read and study by. You know what I
mean? But when they translate, they should be careful. If they use,
we know that, but most of them could care less about Christianity. They don't.
No. I'm saying even have nothing to do with Christianity.
Right.
Christianity is irrelevant for what I'm talking about.
Okay.
When they make a translation, they should translate as literally as possible and save the commentary for underneath the translation, for afterwards.
That sounds like a job for Superman. I like that idea, actually. They should come up with one of those.
But they don't make the commentary embedded into the translation as if the translation says what the commentary is saying. Do what I say. Get a stone translation and try to do a word for word analysis of the verse and the Hebrew it comes from.
So Linda, look up Art Scroll, Stone Edition Chumash is kind of what you want. That's probably going to be your best bet. Thank you, Frank.
That's not
Kohler out there too.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not.
I'm saying that, and you and I don't always agree on things.
Oh. Got to make that clear. I thought you were saying something else.
That's okay. No, you're right. I mean, having a word for word would ideally be the most absolutely best possibility for sure. Unfortunately, we don't have a word for word that's totally precise.
By the way, I have to look it up again.
Okay.
I just don't remember. But the Stone Edition is not the only Art Scroll translation.
Okay.
There are other translations by Art Scroll that's not the Stone.
Oh,
that's
cool.
the one you should get.
Oh, cool.
But if you're going to ask me what the name of it is or whatever, and I'm going to be at a loss.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's a trip to the nearest Jewish bookstore in my area, because where I'm from, we have a lot of Jewish congregations in that, and so there's several different Jewish bookstores I can go to. And also, can somebody that's a little over 65 learn Hebrew?
Rabbi?
Say what?
Can someone who's a little over 65 still learn Hebrew?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's the easiest language in the world to learn. I mean, it's the simplest language.
Hebrew is the easiest language in the world biblical Hebrew is the easiest language in the world to learn. And here's why, okay? Even if you have to write this down in front of you right now, in English, I'm talking about English, how do you pronounce T-O-U-G-H? Tough. How do you pronounce C-O-U-G-H? Cough. Why isn't it cuff? How do you pronounce T-H-R-O-U-G-H? Through. Why is that not pronounced thruff? How do you pronounce P-L-O-U-G-H? Plow. Why isn't it pluff? English is one of the hardest languages to learn because it makes no sense. It's never consistent. Hebrew is always consistent. Hebrew is phonetic. And as a phonetic character set, okay, it's always going to have the consonants are not going to change how they are pronounced. Whereas in English, GH, have you ever seen the Foti Goti? P-H-O-T-I spells fish. P-H-O-T-I spells fish. P-H has the sound of F. Okay? Like philosophy. P-H-I-L. Philosophy. Okay? The O, like the word I can't think of a word. The T-I has the sound of sh, S-H, like in the word nation, nation. So by that standard, P-H-O-T-I should spell fish. Hebrew is consistent. It is the easiest language to learn to read. It is the easiest language to learn to translate. Every year for what we call Yom Limud, Day of Learning in Houston, Texas, where you get literally 60 to 80 people teaching Jewish topics from 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon on that same Sunday. I was teaching every year till the COVID virus hit, and we went on to Zoom. Can't really do it on Zoom. I was teaching my Hebrew Jumpstart, Learn How to Read Hebrew in 3 hours class.
Wow.
Where I can teach somebody to read Hebrew in 3 hours. And I've done it every year for 20 plus years at Yom Limud, and even before that. So, give us a couple of months and you'll have access to it via William Hall. Thank you, William.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I really appreciate the show, William, and
you're very welcome.
And Rabbi for coming on. Thank you.
Absolutely, our delight, no doubt about it. And Linda, thank you so much for your call as well, and you should have a great week. Okay.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right, Rabbi, that is going to wrap us up. I'm running into some USB issues here on my computer right now all of a sudden.
Right.
And I can't figure out what's going on, but I might have fixed it. I'm not sure. But anyway. Okay, cool. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, something's definitely out because my camera's all whack now. Let me see if I can fix that. That's okay. We'll just call it a wrap for now. So you guys have a great night. Rabbi, thank you for your time. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you same time.
I may have been wrong about the Stone Edition. Maybe that is the only one they come up with. I thought there were more than one.
That's all right. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Have a great week. Thank you, Rabbi. Shalom, everybody.